what is important to me in establishing the Indigenomics Institute is to build from my own reality. So I look at myself as being the 5th generation since the establishment of the Indian Act. I've watched how the Indian Act has affected my family, how it has affected my people, how it has affected my relationship with my mother, how it has affected my relationship and disconnection from the place that I call home or is the center of my reality in the Heshquiat Nation. So Indigenomics is really an exploration of that from an Indigenous worldview and how our people have come into modernity and what that looks like today. So Indigenomics has emerged as a deep dive into the Canadian narrative through social media and through the hashtag Indigenomics. So it really emerged from my interest in what I saw emerging every single day around Indigenous business success, and that there was this parallel narrative around conflict, and that we needed to be able to understand the source of conflict that was something different than the pressures of economic growth. So the narrative within the media is strictly economic growth, and no from First Nations forms difficulty in the economic field. But what was missing from that was this relation to an Indigenous worldview that was what was behind a no. When the First Nations people say no, it's built on the realities of the connection to our creation stories, the connections to our place, the stories that tell us how to be, the stories that connect to our lands that say, this is the way to be and this is the way to be human, this is the way to behave. And these ceremonies, these ways of continuance of who we are as people, all of those combinations make up a no. But that's not the narrative that's reflected in the Canadian media. The narrative is strictly no, and no is bad for business, no is bad for the economy, and everything's going to collapse and we should all be fearful, and you know the rest of the story. So really, what I wanted to do was to establish a thread of content that looked at, we are successful business people. We're creating successful business partnerships. We're integral to the Canadian economy. And when we can look at that, that was really further the establishment of the Institute, is to be able to create a frame for what growth can look like. So Indigenomics is a new word. Indigenomics is established from a single word into a movement. And what I mean by that is to be able to watch this understanding and utilization and formation of Indigenomics within governance policy, within economic frameworks, within partnership development. It is intended to be a tool to serve into the development of consciousness. So I like the idea that Indigenomics is neutral. It comes in at this intersection of neutrality of legal baggage and political baggage of this past 150 plus years. The neutrality of it allows us to be able to be open to the possibility of the power of the relationship of doing business with First Nations people.